Hey guys, Squirrely here. Today I wanted to give you guys a video on how to swap into the crit version of my build, the Smite champ, because actually swapping into crit wasn't super straightforward. So sorry for everyone who already tried doing it before me, because I didn't get my Paradoxica until a little bit later. Because yeah, it definitely wasn't super straightforward. The POB was a little scuffed, I'm not gonna lie. But I'll fix it, of course. I'll put a link in the description here with a fixed version. But I just want to get you guys a video on basically how to swap into crit where it's going to feel good, because you can't just swap your weapons out and it's like, okay, now we just go into crit and it'll be good. Now you have to do some things to really make it work, and I'll explain things that I figured out here. So a couple big things. First off, we actually need this instant leech cluster. I was thinking with the nerf it wasn't good enough anymore, but no, we need the instant leech because this gives us enough mana on hit to sustain our smite. Without it, we are constantly like pretty much, and it just feels bad. So yeah, definitely gonna need to get Vitality Void here plus the instant leech mastery. So 3 extra points that we didn't spend on the tree before. We'll need to spend that here for sure. Beyond that, definitely other things that are well, maybe not so obvious. I should say Assassin's Mark being 20 quality is really important, because when it's 20 quality, it gives us a chance to grant power charges when we hit the enemy, I should say. So, 5% chance. We're not going to have 3 stacks on mapping typically. At least maybe sometimes we will, but oftentimes we will only have 1 or 2. But on bossing, we should have around 3 stacks maintained pretty consistently. And it gets better as you have more attack speed, of course, too. But yeah, that's also extremely important. I'd say this is the first thing you want to get 20 quality on. You can get it from lab, of course. Getting 20 quality is a pretty extremely cheap way of doing it. You can do merciless labs, like 4 to 8% per lab. You can also do Uber lab, which is usually like 8%, sometimes 16%, I think. So it's an easy way to get quality. And honestly, GCPs are only like 2C each or something like that. They're pretty cheap, maybe a little bit less even. So get this 20% quality ASAP. The other things you don't need 20% quality on. Blood Rage is actually really good for quality because it gives you attack speed. So you get up to 5% attack speed, which is kind of nice. But obviously that's a bit of a luxury, but you should probably get that 20 quality seconds. And then other than that, obviously just support gems that we won't swap out, like Trinity. Volatility we'll be keeping in there forever. We're going to get Awakened Elemental damage, so you don't really need a 20 quality this. And Smite 20 quality is good, but level 21 Smite is more important, because what quality does to Smite is it just gives a bit of area damage, which it's good because that's the second hit that happens is area. So it's about 5% more damage total, because it gives us 10% more area damage with 10% quality. But yeah, 21 Smite is really important. So I was leveling up Smite gems on my offhand, but I got lucky and just hit the 21 immediately, so that was cool. And I got Paradoxica actually from a drop in the Syndicate hideouts. So definitely make sure you're speccing into Syndicate on the Atlas tree. I have my Atlas tree in the Discord if you guys want to see it. Basically, we just spec into a Jun chance early on, and then I like to do Expedition early, so I get some Expedition stuff, and then just the standard progression. But you're definitely going to want some Jun chance, because Paradoxica it's a pretty low chance at dropping. I got lucky. It was like my 3rd safe house that I ran, and I got it. But it's actually a pretty reasonable drop rate, I think. There's quite a few in the market, so they're going to be going down in price, so that'll be nice as well. But yeah, but my roll wasn't amazing. It was good. I got the Ellie pen, but I got crit chance instead of attack speed, which kind of feels bad. I mean, the crit chance is good because it makes me crit capped pretty much, or I'm at like 80-something% with very little investment in crit, so that's really nice. But the attack speed feels pretty bad, just as a whole. Attack speed is just way better for feel, and honestly, it's more damage too. So hopefully I can get an attack speed version of the Paradoxica at some point. Hopefully maybe I just self-farm it, or I'll buy it, who knows. But still, it's super worth running, even if you just get the crit chance, because it's a ton of damage. My POB, I'll show you guys actually right now. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Yeah, so let's take a look at the POB. So yeah, we're doing 8 mil right now with without factoring in the Merc, right? So with Tincture up, you can see the big difference in DPS. So I just want to stress how important it is to craft your Tincture. I got a tier 1 roll actually, on my tincture. So I bought an eye level 85 tincture, and then I just, found some alts, and I got the tier 1 Ellie pen, plus increased effect, tier 2. So this is really good. You can actually buy this for 70C, so it's not super expensive, but you can just roll it yourself too, and it's not super hard to hit either. Took me like, I don't know, 40, 50 alts. I got lucky, don't get me wrong, but you're definitely going to want to get prismatic tincture with good rolls on it. It's a ton of damage, as you can see, and we have pretty damn good uptime because I'm not reserving a ton of mana. So yeah, highly recommend getting a tincture and rolling that. But just to go over what I'm doing on the tree, you can see I got the leech mastery. Big thing is getting crit as well. So I know I mentioned the leech mastery already. We're getting more crit chance. Obviously, when you swap out of frost breath, you're going to need crit. So Heartseeker is the most important, or one of the most important, I should say. Also dismembering, and this is a really solid cluster too, but kind of expensive for 4 points. But you can still see each point is 3.1% more damage, so it's actually pretty efficient. These nodes are still good. You can see 3.8% more damage, so I'm keeping them right now. Eventually, they become less and less efficient, but I'd say we can keep these for now. And then I even spec'd out of unspec'd out of endurance charges because I was feeling pretty tanky already. You can see my max hits are pretty good. It could still get a lot better, of course. I need more life on my gear. I need a way better chest. My chest is actually a piece of shit. But it's feeling good. Also, this right here, this wheel is extremely strong, getting the bleed because yeah, it's just so much damage. Now it's a 20% chance to bleed, and the bleed doesn't last that long. So if we look at our bleed chance, 20% chance, bleed duration is 5 seconds. So probably on bosses we can hopefully keep it up. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes, right? But if bleed is happening, they're going to be taking a lot of damage. So that's why you can kind of see your damage spike a little bit, because there is some variables here that aren't like a guaranteed thing. That's just the unfortunate reality of it. Another thing as well, I'm actually running Immolates as a support. And the reason why I'm doing that is because my Trinity wasn't proccing enough for me to feel comfortable. So you can see right now, we're having very similar damage totals with the fire and the lightning. So we will be ping-ponging between these two extremely reliably, like Trinity is 100% uptime. But if we put in added lightning damage instead, we can see the rolls become extremely skewed. And especially with Perkle's Toe on the Merc, if it's rolling, 200k lightning hits very commonly, and we're only getting like 50k fire hits, it's not ping-ponging enough. So, you'll still get the ping pong effect, and you'll still get the Trinity going with this setup, but it's not super reliable. And I found when Trinity is down, it is rough. So, but your mileage may vary. It really depends on if you're having like good flat fire damage rolls on your gear. Like, let's say your amulet has a bunch of flat fire damage. Maybe your rings have it more than I do. Maybe your side jewel has more flat fire than I do. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind, right? So just check on the top left when you're mapping with Trinity to make sure it is, all 3 lines are filled in. And if they are, you're good. If they're not, then try running Immolates in your support instead of Trinity, or instead of added lightning. And then increased crit's also good, but you can see it's actually a fair bit less damage for me right now, just because I have so much Ellie pen and Ellie scaling and all that stuff. And I have a pretty good amount of crit multi already at 400. So, but sometimes this is higher. Just check your POBs, right? Import your character into POB, check all your stuff off, and you can kind of tinker with your character to make him stronger depending on your gear level and stuff, right? I always recommend doing that. And with all flasks up, obviously this is a big DPS flask. You can see it's plus 1 mil because attack speed is so damn important for us. But it's super reliable to have Silver Flask up 24/7. So I'm just leaving it ticked off. And then with the Merc, obviously I'm not even including Mercs here. But if we have a level 20 Wrath aura from the Merc, which I think they probably give level 20 Wrath at the highest level. I don't know. I don't have a high level Merc yet, to be honest, so it's hard to tell. But that plus Perkle's Toe. And we're hitting 13 mil, almost 14 mil damage. So that's pretty damn good. Now it does mean that the enemies have like 50% more life if they're a boss. So you got to kind of factor that in, right? It's not just straight up this much more damage, because now they also have more life to get through. But I think it is a net positive personally, but it's hard to say exactly. But you can also equip your Merc with some fun stuff like Dying Breath. Dying Breath is damn good, honestly, for a cheap weapon. Actually, let me show you guys my Merc real quick here. It's nothing special, but I'll show it to you guys. I think it's this guy. Yeah, so he just has some crap rares. Eventually, I'm going to get Doriani's prototype. I'll probably get it very soon, to be honest. And I'll put like negative lightning res on his rings and keep the Perkle's toe. Try to get negative lightning res everywhere, honestly. And just that'll be extremely powerful. So I'll be doing that hopefully soon. I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, Dying Breath is actually pretty good. If there is strength into Merc, they can use it. And then you can see increased effective non-curse auras, increased damage for us, increased effective curses on them, which affects our curse. They have more AoE on their aura, which is actually kind of nice. So this is really nice. It's a very nice, cheap weapon to use early on. And obviously this guy's Wrath, which is good. There's some good mercs out there. There's one that actually has Wrath and Precision, both. So you can maybe drop Precision on your links as long as, he's always nearby. Because the reason why we still use Precision on even the crit setup is because without it, we would have like 60, maybe 70% chance to hit, which would feel really, really bad. But with it, just so precision, the effective precision, you can see our damage goes down actually a fair bit. It's like 600,000 damage being lost because of the increased crit chance. But our effective HP goes up by 7,000. And then the max hits go up a fair bit too. So if you want to feel tankier and you get a Merc with both Precision and Wrath, you can maybe just run him and drop Precision, but it's up to you. Also, if you don't like Mercs, you can just not use a Merc and just run Wrath yourself. But that means you'll have to probably maybe drop some auras. It's hard to say. I mean, I haven't really messed with auras too much. So we might be able to... I'm using Hero Device, by the way. It's not actually good. You can see the damage increase is pretty minor. It's like 400,000. It's not terrible. But, is it really worth 5% more damage for 25% reservation aura? Probably not, but I just like the way it looks, right? I don't know. Rule of cool for me is more important than a bit more DPS, because I have the herald effect and all that crap. So, yeah, it's worth it. Especially when you're critting and the sound of it, I don't know, man. It just makes the mapping experience like way better for me. But you could just drop herald ice, and then you can maybe fit in Determination. You'll see we have enough mana if we also get this wheel. Right, we're back to that POB setup of what I had before, 11%. But you can see our mana cost is 49 right now. I don't have the minus mana jewels. And you could run Inspiration, by the way. Inspiration is a damn good link. You can see here, let's say I ran Inspiration instead of added lightning damage. It's definitely less damage. Right? But it's not that much less, and the mana cost is way more manageable. So if you want to fit in an extra aura, you want to fit in Determination or something, you can consider using Inspiration. Even gives you some crit chance, so that kind of helps too. And gives you damage and all that, and just reduces the cost of using it by a lot. Now it's at 33, before it was at 49. So that might make the difference between whether or not you can actually use your skill reliably. And also makes it easier to color, right? Because it's a red link. It's also only 48 int, so the int pressure goes way, way, way down. You basically don't need int anymore. So this is actually a really good option, especially for budget. It's just a fair bit less damage. It's like 700, 800k, because flat damage is just so OP for us since we're scaling it so much. I'll just show you guys that. It's a decent tech. Also, one thing as well, attack speed is super important. So try to get attack speed on your Murderous Eye Jewel as well. You can get the 8% increased attack speed if you dealt the Critical Strike recently mod, plus a bunch of flat damage. This thing was like 3C, by the way. So, they're cheap. Get it like a live search going. Try to snipe like a really good one with better rolls than I got, right? Because this is like tier 5, tier 3, tier 5. It's pretty bad. So you can probably get a better one for like 5, 10C, probably all tier 3 rolls or something. So that's a really important upgrade because, again, flat damage is really, really powerful for us, and this is a really good source of it. And then, yeah, definitely recommend it. Also, try to improve your taming. This can be a big difference in damage. You can see I got a perfect taming here in terms of the increase in mental damage. And I just bought the rings, the Barrack rings again, and I just gambled again. And, you know, it cost me like 27C to buy all the rings. And yeah, I got a perfect one, basically. I mean, LE res isn't perfect, but 25 is pretty damn good. So I'd say it's worth it. And then you can catalyze it, get it up to 20%. The catalysts are pretty cheap. I think they were like 1 or 2C each. And I think it goes up by like 2% each time. So it's actually not too expensive. I recommend it. A bit of a, it's not like something you need to do right away, but I'd say it's worth doing. And then, like I said, get crit multi, or it's very important to get crit multi on your jewelry, specifically your amulet, as well as your jewels. So you can see I have crit multi here, plus some life, plus some attack damage. This one's actually pretty bad. I'm going to replace this hopefully soon. But this one's better for damage. You can see 30% crit multi and attack speed, but it doesn't have a life roll. Life roll is actually really important. So, you know, consider dropping a bit of damage, maybe one of the crit multi rolls for a life roll, because if we don't have life, we are just dead. Right? My life pool is actually still pretty low. I would rather have it at around 4K, and we can get it there for sure. But yeah, it takes time. You know, we need to improve our gear and all that stuff. Got to spend some actual chaos on it. There's a lot of this stuff I'm still like, this is still just from Axe. It's really good though. Don't get me wrong, but you know, I didn't buy the glove slot yet. I did buy these boots, but they were pretty cheap. They were like, I think 510C or something. A big thing with boots is when you try to buy them, make sure you have an open prefix on it. Like when you search for on the trade site, let me actually show you that real quick. When you're using the stat filters, you can go empty prefix modifiers and then put minimum 1. When you do that, you can search for, and the same thing with suffix, of course. When you do that and you're trying to buy boots, you can get like boots with chaos res. You can get boots with a high amount of life, like I did here. You can get suppress on it. You know, like I got all these rolls on the pair of boots that I bought, and then it had an open prefix so that I could craft 20% increased MS and 100% chance to avoid being chilled, which is a really good mod, right? Because chill is really annoying for an attack build. It totally destroys your attack speed. So, you know, you kind of want this mod. So you just craft the prefix. And yeah, you know, it sucks to have 10% less MS, but I mean, whatever, man. It's not that big a deal. And this mod is worth it until we get ailment immunity. So that's a quick little tip for buying boots. Yeah, in terms of the other gear, let's take a look. Pretty much big things that you're going to want to get are going to be, obviously you got to get your res. You got to try to get your suppress on your gear. You know, res becomes a bit more of an issue since we spec out of this wheel, which by the way, respecking is pretty damn expensive. It cost me like over 100,000 gold to respec. You can also use regrets, of course. Regrets are like 1.5C right now, so it's not too bad. Or just use a mix of both and just use the regrets you found in mapping if you haven't sold them. Do a combo of both and just, it's like maybe 25, 30 respecs. Obviously, we also have some respecs from campaign that we hopefully haven't used too much of. So maybe that'll help a little bit too. But you know, obviously it's not a big deal. I mean, you do it once and then you're done, right? So who cares? But yeah, in terms of gear, the best thing that I bought was this. So look at this helmet. It actually has an open suffix right now because I'm just waiting to craft to decide what I want to craft. But I probably should just put chaos res on this for now. But I want to get a better shield ASAP. I want to get some attack speed on the shield and all that. So I'm just I'm still doing some trading right now. But yeah, this thing's insane. Look at the rolls, right? So tier 2 flat armor and evasion, tier 1 life, tier 1 suppress, and it's a perfect roll. And you know, also tier 1 hybrid, you know, defense there. And then it didn't have any suffixes basically, or it had 2 open suffixes, and he had crafted one of the suffixes. So I used again that trick, 1 open suffix, and I was just looking for some good helmets to buy. And I saw this, and it was 1 divine. I thought that's a really good price. It had memory strands left on it. It had like 40 memory strands left, and it had an open suffix. So I was like, well, I could just exalt flam it and probably hit some good shit, right? Because the memory strands increases the affix roll. I actually only got the tier 4, which is kind of lame, but I think that made a big difference. You know, I might have gotten a tier 8, but the memory strands improved it, right? But what you'd also want to do, and I didn't do this, is you're going to want to block a crappy craft, right? Or a crappy roll with the bench. So craft something like dexterity, I think is probably the best one, because if you get the dexterity roll, it's completely worthless. And then most of the other suffixes are pretty good. You know, like obviously we don't want I don't know, chance to avoid being stunned or something like that, or increased energy rate, but I don't even know how common those are. I think they're super uncommon or unlikely to hit, so. You know, res rolls are obviously very, very common. So definitely you're going to want to Exalt Slime if it's an open suffix and just see what you hit. But make sure to craft some crappy mods. Specifically, I think Dex is the best. So that you cannot hit that mod, right? So a little bit of a crafting tip for you guys. But yeah, you can get some insane gear with these memory strand stuff. So I think we're just going to be having tier 1 everything on all our rares in the probably like by end of week 1 or something, which will be really nice. But yeah, my body armor is a piece of crap. Like, look at this thing. I threw a few essences on it and got some spell suppress and some res, and I was like, all right, good enough. But it's really not very good. I definitely want way more armor and evasion on this thing. But, you know, we'll see. I'll probably buy a new base, a better base than this, and then spend some more currency and stuff like that to roll it. Another thing to keep in mind, by the way, when you buy 6 links like this, so I bought this one for 70C. I just had like a live search going, right, for a 6-link hybrid armor and evasion, and I bought it for 70C. I made sure that the item level was not terrible. That's another thing. Try to have like a minimum eye level of maybe around 73, so that you don't just get crap rolls. And you can actually split this with the split beast. And what you can do, even before you craft it, I should have done that personally. I forgot to do that. But you can split it if it wasn't already split, and then you can sell the split version for 70C. And so you just make your currency back almost. I mean, the split beast is like 40C, so you get maybe like 30C profit. But just a quick tip for you guys, if it's not split, which a lot of people don't know about splitting, then you can just split it yourself and get a bit of a profit out of reselling it. You know, or maybe you just craft both of them and then resell the crafted chess piece. Because, you know, like this thing, if you look at it on the trade, people are selling it for like 4 divines, 3 divines. I don't think it's worth that much, but hey, someone might buy it. So maybe you just craft it yourself with some essences and resell it that way and get a ton of currency. So, and then just to give you guys a quick map showcase of the build, we just got a pretty easy, honestly, waste pool map, but just to show you real quick, tier 16. You can see we're tanky, but definitely still some rares who are rough. Let's see if they're... you know, triple shrieking plus beast. But we're tanky enough that we can duel it out a little bit. And obviously we still have a lot of damage on the table here. Just with better items and levels and quality and a better Paradoxica. We're not gonna be able to do tier 17s just yet, but pretty sure we'll be able to do all 4 watchstones. Nah, not good. Definitely recommends pushing for level 100. That's what I'm going to be doing anyways. Because it's actually pretty easy to hit level 100 nowadays. You just got to do like some XP strats, which there's quite a few of them. Sorry for getting to use adrenaline, by the way. Sometimes I do that. But yeah, some really good XP strats. For example, Abyss is a good one. That's one I used for a little while. And then these are really bad. Hits can be critical strikes is pretty awful. Mean to fire damage is also pretty awful. Fuck. Well, let's just see how bad this ends up being. These guys are going to be so fucking tanky. This might be a mistake. Actually, you know what? Let's go over here. It's the thing when you do... I gotta fix my filter. I also don't want the block chance. Many annoying ones. It's also such a bad area for it. Alright. Oh, fuck. I think I hit the block still. Oh, well. We'll wear him down. That wasn't too bad. No logbooks, though. Also just rolled my flasks so that they are gonna cast themselves, which is very, very nice. Nice quality of life, especially when you're running oh, nice. Especially when you're running tincture, because it's very easy to just piano flask and then turn tincture on when you don't need to. So actually instilling is a pretty huge quality of life. Definitely recommend rolling your flasks, getting some high level flasks so that, you know, you're not enkindling some garbage. And that way you just... You know, you don't feel bad about spending your instills on a flask, right? This is also why I do shrines. You can basically get a free HUD hunter. You get the MS flask or MS shrine. Right, and then when you spec into the increased shrine effect as well, it just goes bonkers. Very worth it. Same thing with the sulfite, right? Sulfite intoxication. Just makes your character stronger. So it's really good for league start stuff. You can see bosses get wrecked. I've already killed a couple of the endgame bosses from memory stuff. On a frost breath, honestly. I was doing on a frost breath. I did 2 watchstones on the frost breath. I did Maven on with Paradoxica. Not Maven, sorry. I did Katarina with the Paradoxica, actually. And it was pretty easy. And I didn't have a good setup at the time. I was still trying to figure it out. But I was still doing tons of damage, or enough anyways. And then, yeah, we'll be doing the watchstones, the last 2 watchstones on this stream probably tonight. And then we'll just keep pushing the build. You know, I'm obviously going to try to get it to tier 17. I'm going to try to get it to killing Ubers and all that stuff. And it's just a matter of, you know, getting levels on the character, getting, you know, better rares, getting Yoke of Suffering is a big one, getting a better Paradoxica, getting some Watcher's Eyes and the Cluster Jewel. You know, there's still lots of room to keep improving the build, right? So it's a league starter, and that means that you can get the first 2 watchstones with ease. Getting the last 2 watchstones, less easy. So, but I'm pretty sure, again, we can do this. This is like, well, I bought this for a Divine. You don't need to buy this insane helmet, but, you know, Paradoxica you're going to need for sure, and this is probably going to be at least 1 Divine. And then Taming is like, if you want to get a perfect one, probably like 70C, 60C, 80C maybe. They're going down pretty quick, actually. So I thought they were going to go up, but I was completely wrong on that. So, yeah, should be able to get one for pretty cheap. Everything else is just, again, it's just rare gears. And then especially getting that prismatic tincture really, really well rolled is super important. So don't sleep on prismatic tinctures. Specifically getting LE penetration, ideally tier 1, is very, very important. But yeah, build's feeling good for me, and I hope it is for you guys too. And if it isn't, hop in my Discord. I can help you guys out. I've been helping a lot of people with their builds, getting it to be feeling better. Hopefully this vid helps as well. I know, again, going crit is a little overwhelming in all the stuff you have to change, and there's a lot of things that can make it feel bad. Just to be frank, I know a lot of people were switching into crit and were thinking like, oh, this doesn't feel good. Like I feel weaker than I had with Frost Breath. And yeah, you can actually become weaker, which is pretty nuts. But you got to be careful with how you do it, you know, because this is giving us 40% more damage. And so we need to make up for that in crit, right? If we're not making up for that, then going crit is pointless. Keep that in mind, right? Honestly, sometimes Frost Breath is just better to stay, to keep using. So even if you get a Paradoxica. So try to get a base level of currency before you swap into Paradoxica. Just in terms of getting crit multi on your jewels is the biggest thing. Getting crit multi on your amulet. Making sure you allocate Fatal Blade or Anoint That. Making sure you get a good Abyss Jewel with increased crit, attack speed plus some flat damage on sword stuff. You know, making sure you have enough respec gold and regrets to go into the new tree. And you're gonna have a new POB in the link or in the description below. That should help a lot with how you should progress into this build. But yeah, once you get things all set up, it feels really good. So you guys should be okay, I believe. And again, if you need help, hop into Discord, come into the stream, and I'm always open to questions. You know, I love helping, honestly. So it's not a burden at all. I enjoy it personally. So yeah, hope you guys have a good one and good luck. Peace.